You're listening to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. In this show, we go beyond the campfire stories to bring you firsthand encounters from people who say they've seen something impossible, from backwoods trails and remote mountain haulers to quiet farms and crowded highways. The stories come from everywhere, and each one leaves us with more questions than answers. These are the voices of the people who've lived it, so settle in, because today you'll hear another account that just might change the way you see the woods forever. So stay with us. All right, Bigfoot Society, we've got the privilege of talking to Ryan today. Ryan is an individual I met over on the TikTok platform, and he is on the show today regarding some really interesting experiences he's had in the Boykin Springs area of Texas. A highly active area, if anyone listening is familiar with Boykin Springs. So you are going to really enjoy what he has to say, I believe. I mean, I have... Full disclosure, I've heard it before. We've had this conversation on the TikTok platform. Unfortunately, that audio was non-recoverable. So thankfully, I had a way to contact Ryan, and he was able to come on the show so that we could get this out there to the general public. So welcome to the show, Ryan. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. About yourself?
Doing great. Also, just in case I forgot to mention it, the background for yourself. During the time of this, you were an Eagle Scout, correct?
Yes, I was part of the Boy Scouts of America, part of 2 different troops in the area. Yeah, everyone else has thought I'm crazy, but I'm glad I found a platform that is telling me I'm not. So here we are.
Absolutely. Before we get into it, did Bigfoot come up a lot in your scout training down there in that area?
I mean, aside from all the campfire stories we would get from the dads on campouts just trying to scare us kids, not really. It was just a lot of stories of, oh yeah, if you go walking at night, you better look out for this such and such animal because it will chase you down. And I'm like, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good way to put it. Brian, I would say let's get right into it. Feel free to take us back to these experiences that you had in the Boykin Springs area. They're intense, and they are one of the most favorite things I've heard on the show in a while. So, feel free. The floor is yours, and take us back there.
Yeah. So it was late summer of 2000. I guess I'd say 2010, 2011. I was riding around with my father at the time, and we were coming down the main stretch of Boykin Springs Road. It cut off, and part of it cuts off towards a cell phone tower because we were trying to send some pictures that we had took early in the day to our family members. And yeah, we were coming down this 1-lane dirt road. We had the windows down. We were just having a conversation about. Actually, we were discussing the topic of Bigfoot at the time because it was one of those common interest points that we had. Like, we both would go out on the weekends if we ever had the time to, and would try and search because we were both Advent Bigfoot. We're Advent Bigfoot people, and we want to understand more of how the creature interacts with everybody in the area. Because hearing an experience from another person is one thing, but having your own is much more intimate. So we were going across, and I'm looking at it on a map right now. We were going across this stretch of road off of Boykin Springs Road called 313A to a cell phone tower, and right in between that stretch, we were coming across at, I'd say, 10 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour at best. We were driving along, and I'm looking out the passenger side window, and I saw this creature. Looked like it had just crossed the road. It was about, I'd say, 8 to 8.5 feet tall, broad shoulders, built like a D1 college linebacker, the classic long arms, short legs, sunken in eyes with the with a sunken-in face and a more ape-like facial features. Solid black hair, beautiful creature. If I had my phone out, I would have snapped a really good picture of it, because I don't think anybody would believe me if I did have a picture of it. But we believe it had just crossed the road and then continued on up the hill towards off into a bigger thicket of woods. And that was my first instance that I had with the creature. And that's what really solidified all of the noises and sounds that I had heard previous in the area, hunting and camping and whatnot.
That's fascinating. So was that the first time that you're like, okay, this is 100% real? Was that the time that pushed you over the edge into knowing?
Yes, that was the first time that I truly believed that we are not alone in our forests, that there is something out there, that there's something primitive out there that we don't know about.
Gotcha.
That was my first that was the first time I saw one, and the first time that I was dead set I knew what I was looking at.
Wow. I have a few questions about that sighting.
Mm-hmm.
So did you actually see it as it walked away through to that area?
No. What I saw as we were driving along, because we slowed down to about, I'd say, 5 miles an hour at this point, because we both saw it. He was on the right side of the vehicle, heading left to right up the hill. So I saw it. My dad saw it out of the corner of his eye. We didn't stop to think about it. We just both looked at each other and went, yep, that's exactly what we saw. Cool. And kept on trucking. But that was my first time seeing one and thinking, yep, this is exactly what I thought this is exactly how I thought my sighting was going to be. Just short, quick, to the point. I already knew what it was. Everything just popped into my head. When the creature was walking, it did I'm sure everybody has seen the Patterson-Gimlin film, including you, Jeremiah, where the creature is mid-stride and then it turns back. It's exactly how I saw it. His back was to us, and I saw the immediate turnaround with the head over the shoulder, and then it just kept on walking up the hill. And after that, it was out of sight, and I couldn't see anything else.
Did it have any certain posture when it was walking up the hill?
It was a very slouched posture. Granted, the shoulders were up, but the back had a little hunch to it. So even though it was in a straight, almost how you could see a straight line down a human spine, if you looked at it from the side profile, there was a little bit of a hunch forward. But I also deem that one to the terrain that it was walking across to.
Sure. You mentioned that it was a beautiful creature to see. What were things that stuck out in your mind that made it so beautiful to you?
Just the majesticness of seeing one, after hearing stories of realizing, these creatures aren't that bad. They're just misunderstood. We're not understanding what they are. And then seeing one in person, it was a very awestruck feeling for me, which is why I say it was a very majestic and beautiful creature. Of course, say that about a lot of creatures in wildlife, but this one was definitely, like, the fur was this beautiful black. It was like this, almost how you would see a German Shepherd, just solid black hair from head to toe. And that's all I can say about that. I was very awestruck at that time, being as young as I was, early teenager.
How was your emotional state the days after you had that sighting?
My emotional state was, my emotional state was very relaxed, almost. it was like I had seen something that confirmed everything that I had known about being in the woods from the time that I started in Boy Scouts to the time that I got out of Boy Scouts. Something felt confirmed in my head about what I had seen.
Absolutely. Sometimes when you have, well, some listeners will get this. When you have an experience where the parent, they're either, and you see something like this, whether it be a UFO or a Bigfoot, they're either going to be like, nope, didn't say a thing, see a thing, or yeah, totally saw it. Did you have conversations with your father after this sighting in the years after?
We did. We would reference that day a little bit, and it was just that how I explain it is there are certain activities that you do with friends and family and coworkers where you can sit back and laugh and say, yeah, we did that. Yeah, we saw that. That's how it was for us, where we wouldn't have to say words half the time. All we had to do is just exchange looks and know that, yes, we saw what we saw, and we're just going to leave it at that.
That's really cool. After having this sighting, sometimes when people will have a Bigfoot sighting, it'll affect them in different ways. Sometimes they won't want to have anything to do with Bigfoot related things, or they'll really jump into it. Do you feel like it affected you in a certain way after this?
Oh, I as some people would say, I jumped headfirst into learning anything and everything I could about Bigfoot. Every time me and my friends would go out, because eventually after having this sighting and then hanging out with friends the next weekend, we realized that we had all seen the same creature in the same area. So when we were around 15, 16 years old, one of us was able to get a driver's license, and we went out to that area with a loudspeaker, and we would play the Sierra Sounds just to see if we could get a response. And we got responses.
Before we get into those responses, what kind of sightings had your buddies had before leading up to this time?
The typical, the hunter instances where they see them through a scope peeking out from behind a tree. Instances where, because two of my buddies, they hunt with they're rifle hunters, and then two others are bow hunters. The two rifle hunters had one peek out from trees in two different areas, but they claim it was the same one. I don't know. The other two bow hunters, when they would go claim their kills, they would find either their kills missing. They would go searching for their kills, and they would find their kills missing, or they would hear random tree knocks or whatever just to startle them and try and get them out of that area. Just the small stuff, the small stuff that they do just to screw with hunters because it's funny.
Oh, absolutely. So you guys go to this area and you're playing the Sierra Sounds. How much of the Sierra Sounds are you playing? As much as is available, or just a few minutes?
We would play from the time that on the sounds where you hear the distant howls to the chattering is the clips that we would play, and we would play it over a loudspeaker. And the responses we would get back were varied. We had a couple long, drawn-out whoops, what sounded to be like coyotes, but was that creature because no coyote could hit that pitch at that range. A couple low aggressive howls, and then I'd say at least 4 to 5 wood knocks within a close range of us.
And when you say close range, can you be specific as to how close that was?
10 yards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
How How quick did it take for things to kick in after you stopped playing the recording by Ron Moorhead?
I would say 10 seconds at best.
Wow.
Yeah, it was about the first time that we did it, it was about 10 seconds. Just because we were using a very powerful amplified speaker, so it was about 10 seconds from the time that the sound ended to the time that we started hearing sounds coming back to us. The second instance when we did the sounds again, the next weekend, is when we started encountering the wood knocks. And we would just we eventually ended up making it a weekend thing where we would go out to Boykin and just circle up, make a campfire, and just sit there and just talk. And every once in a while, just, let off a couple wood knocks with a wooden baseball bat against a tree, and then go sit back down and see what we can hear. Because as teenagers, we actually liked interact. The interaction that we were getting was not threatening, more as it was just basic curiosity. And that's what we got, was the curiosity part of the creature, in which that really kicked off the curiosity for us, as well as how close can we get this creature to us without it being scared of us and without us frightening off everything else.
It's an interesting combination that you hit on there. The curiosity of the creatures combined with the curiosity of you and your friends at that time, at that age in life, is probably a wild combination. How many times do you think you went there and did this over the years?
I'd say at least till I graduate, my 8th grade year is when was the last time that we were all together, and the last time that we did that sort of campfire hangout deal.
And just so you think maybe less than 10 times, more than 10 times?
Yeah, I would say more than 10 times.
Okay. And out of those times, more than 10 times, how many times did you guys get responses?
Every single time.
100%. Wow. Ooh. The experiences that your friends had prior to this when they were hunting, were these in a similar area as to where you and your father had the sighting, or different parts of Boykin Springs?
Different parts of the area, actually. One of my buddies, he used to hunt, and I don't know if he still does or not, but he used to hunt the Big Thicket National Forest out in between Huntington and Zavala, Texas. They had a piece of property out there, and they would go hunt. And he had an instance in that national forest. Another one of my buddies, he had an instance in seeing if I can find it on my computer. He had an instance with a creature outside of Crockett in the Davy Crockett National Forest. And he had that happen out there. Another one of my buddies had his happen right along the Trinity River, close to, I'd say close to, close to Antioch, Texas.
Gotcha.
So a lot of us have been all over the place and have had things happen.
Yeah, and those are all areas where there's definitely been activity reported over the years. Now, getting back to, you and your buddies having these times where you're trying to elicit interactions or have interactions happen, was there ever a time you feel where they started coming closer to your camp, or there might have been a visual that was had?
The only time that we had one get close to us was when we were going fishing. We went out, because we go out at about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'd get there, break out the fishing pole, start fishing, and then we clean up our fish, get them all cut up, filleted, and ready to cook. And there was one night that we did this. It was a Saturday night, overcasted, and one of my buddies had taken the guts from all the fish to the trash can at the end of our campsite. Put them in the trash can, left it alone, and then came back to camp and we fried up the fish, we were eating, we were talking, doing our normal Saturday night thing of trying to get Bigfoot to come close to us. And sitting there, and then we heard the trash can lid get ripped open, and then it sounded like a raccoon going through the garbage, but we knew what it was, without a doubt. Hearing tales from all the fishermen that were there prior to us being into Bigfoot, we knew what it was right away.
You've also had another instance happen by a sawmill. Was that right?
Yeah. The Aldridge Sawmill is the sawmill that I had a encounter at. Well, along a hiking trail towards the sawmill that I had an encounter at, yes.
Gotcha. And for listeners, if you go to the website for the podcast, BigfootSocietyPodcast.com, there's a sightings map there where I'm trying to put locations or put encounters where the locations happen. So you can follow along if you go over there and click on sighting map. But it looks like the Aldridge Sawmill is a little bit south of Boykin Springs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Still on the same property. That entire area is the Boykin Springs recreation area. The main area that comes up for anybody listening that is interested in this area, the main spot that's going to come up is the main campground. And I'd say the sawmill is about 3 to 4 miles south of the main camp area.
Thank you. And would you be able to walk us through what happened during that sighting at the sawmill that day?
Yeah. So it was about 11:30 in the afternoon. I was on a scouting camp out, actually. One of our leaders wanted us to go through and hike to the sawmill just to get a couple pictures, see it, enjoy it, see the area. So we're hiking through, and we're on the bottom part of a rail line spur. So the spur is up top by about 10, 20 feet, and we're down low by about an extra 5. And we're walking along, and everything's going good. Common thing for us scouters is if we're ever hiking and we have to stop somewhere, always have a buddy with us. So I had to stop to take a leak because nature called. And I tapped my buddy and I said, "Hey, I got to stop." Told the scoutmaster, we'll catch up to the group. Y'all keep going. So about this time, the woods they're normal at this point. Birds are chirping, the wind's rustling, everything else like that. And then it all goes quiet for a second. And my buddy, he's at my back looking up the hill, and he taps me on my shoulder as I finish up my business, and he goes, "Hey, what's that up there?" And I turn around and I look, and I say walking, more like shuffling across the top of this rail line spur is this 7.5, 8 foot tall, what I've already seen before, known as what I know as Sasquatch, standing there, shuffling across there, looking down at us. And my buddy was starting to freak out because he didn't know what it was. And I told him, "Hey, calm down. As long as you don't mess with it, it's not going to mess with you." And we started walking. And as soon as we started walking towards our group, I could hear the creature about 10 to 20 feet behind us, tracing us from a distance, but keeping a watchful eye on us. Till from the time that we were alone to the time that we made it back to our group, that creature followed us there. And I couldn't tell you if it was a natural instinct or a protective instinct that it had to follow us to make sure that we got back to our group safe and sound.
How did you feel after having this encounter? Was it different than the first one that you had?
I'd say about the same. It actually solidified what I knew and what I thought I knew even more.
Gotcha. And another thing I wanted to ask you is, after having these sightings, and now you're a few years past that, have you continued to go back out to that area to try to have interactions, even though your buddies might not be involved, or are you still doing any research in the area about encounters that happen?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. This has not swayed me from my distance from the area has not swayed me from stopping what I have come to enjoy as a pastime. Quite frankly, it's ramped up what I enjoy a lot, because now I have something to do in my pastime that when I'm not working is actually more uplifting and can get me out of all the heavy stuff that I do with at work. So it's one of those things that I see as it's one of those things I see that for the area is needed to be put out there as, hey, if you have this encounter, don't be afraid of it. Just, this is what you need to do. I'm trying to get out there so I can have more encounters and can tell more people about, hey, these are just gentle giant creatures. Don't mess with them. They won't mess with you. This, that, and the third.
Have you been able to have any discussions with people that have also had things happen in this area?
I've had a couple conversations with a couple people. Some of their sightings are a little bit more rough than others. The typical coming up to the vehicle, shaking it, tossing stuff around the campsite, screaming, hollering, yelling, slapping trees and all that stuff. I've had a lot of interviews with people that have been scared out of the woods before. I've had a lot of people say that I'm not going back into the woods after such and such instance because this, and this happened. And after hearing most of those stories of people being run out of the woods, I am of the opinion that I've been fairly lucky in not getting chased out of the woods by these creatures. So I don't know what that says about me and them, but I guess we're on a good rapport.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Have you found any patterns about, like, okay, the people that reported being, just chased out of there or scared out of there? Did you see any patterns between those sort of witnesses, or was it kind of just random who would get that and who wouldn't?
It was at random, I'd say, because I would I would talk with most of my people at church. I'd say 1 in 10 that I would talk to have been chased out of the Boykin area and have not returned since.
So, okay, hold on. That's a really wild statement to say. And because you don't hear stuff like that, and that's incredible.
No,
I'd say that's incredible to hear. How roughly big is a congregation?
Our congregation is about 600 members. I've asked the questions, well, what have y'all been doing? And they're like, oh, well, we've been throwing trash everywhere. I'm like, yeah, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Okay, so that's a pattern right there. So it could be individuals that are messing up the area, not being respectful. That could definitely be a pattern. And are these individuals where you're talking to people where they're younger, some are older, it's all over the place?
All over the place.
Okay.
I've had a couple dads come up and tell me that they've been chased out for leaving deer corn bags on the ground. or and then a couple of kids come up and saying, well, we ran out of there because this, that, and the third. I'm like, don't be scared of them, guys. And to the others that leave the trash on the ground, I'm like, look, don't. The biggest part of what I used to do as a child in Boy Scouting was one of the biggest things that I was taught was leave no trace. Leave no trace that you were there, so no one knows that you were there. Pick up after yourself. It's not hard.
Absolutely. So, and that would, if you look at it a certain way, I'm sure that affects the intention that you have when you're in these areas, just the kind of, the vibes that you're giving off are probably way different than, most person that might be there, have a drink, toss the cans, whatever. But it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, the worst that happens in this area is people are going to get freaked out and they could get chased out of there. But, there's nothing where people are getting hurt, it sounds like, that you've heard.
Oh, no. Not even kind of. I've never interviewed anybody that has gotten hurt from being chased out of Boykin by a Bigfoot. I haven't heard any stories about that. Granted, this isn't, this isn't the Pacific Northwest. This isn't close to Canada. This is, southeast East Texas. Like, no one's going to get hurt being chased out of the woods by a Bigfoot. If anything, there's going to be the likely event of someone getting hurt is one of two things has happened. Either A, they got so scared they purposely fell and broke something, or they weren't paying attention and broke something against a tree. That's it.
These people that you're talking to that were scared off, that ran off, were they also ones that had visual sightings at the same time, or it's just they heard something maybe was bluff charging them?
Something was bluff charging.
Okay, gotcha.
Most of the people that I've talked to have said that the ones that have had visual encounters have said that they felt a certain wave of peace come over. Like, it's not here to hurt me. It knows I'm not here to hurt it. And it's one of those mutual type of deals where both parties know that one's not going to be hurt by the other. And then they usually hang out for about 5-10 seconds, and then they're off into the woods doing their own thing again.
So that's really interesting too. So what I hear, most of the people that have had visual encounters that you've talked to, they have a peaceful feeling about it, but the people that are not seeing it and are just being bluff charged, they're freaking out. So that's kind of a interesting thing as well. Have there been any tracks that have ever been found in the area?
I can ask around, and see. I haven't personally seen any tracks around. That doesn't mean that they're not there. I just haven't talked with anybody yet that has had any footprints casted or have made casts with footprints. But I do know majority of campers that have been in that area have, whether they've been camping in the main campground or have been doing hiking trail camps, that they've all heard wood knocks. They've heard wood knocks, screams, howls, all the mannerisms of what Bigfoot would do.
It's extremely interesting. The things you're hearing from people at the church, how far back in history do those stories go?
Far back as the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay. Wow. Man.
Yeah.
Do you think you're the main person in this area or that's getting encounters about this area, or have you ran into other researchers or people that are documenting things as well?
As far as I know, I'm the only person within my church group that is talking to people about this. it's just, I guess it's just the luck of the draw. I know my church group, we're a very big outdoor community. We have a lot of hunters. We have a lot of hunters, a lot of fishermen, a lot of campers, hikers, and I'd say about almost every single person that I've talked to within my congregation has either seen one or has heard one in the Boykin Springs area.
It's really cool. And
yeah,
I'm going to say a statement, and there's going to be a lot of people that are probably, well, whatever. But so, I mean, these are people that are going to church. Usually people that are going to church are not going to be inclined to lie, right? They're going to,
exactly.
They're going to hopefully not be doing that with, you know, if we're talking about like a, you know, some sort of Christian church, usually lying equals a bad thing. And just to hear that there's so many people talking to you, and these are people that have, you know, nothing to gain. You're not writing a book, from what I know. You're not, you know, with a podcast or a TV show or anything. They're just like, yeah, you saw something too, or had something weird happen too. So it's very, very cool that you are having these conversations. Are you writing them down or keeping a journal or anything like that?
I'm trying to, but more times than not, most of these individuals are just asking that their information be left out. That, yes, I can write down their sighting, but they would like to remain anonymous, so they're not construed by the community, by the surrounding community of those that don't believe in it, and respecting their wishes and keeping them anonymous in the journal entries. But
100%.
Yeah.
Another cool thing you could do is you could also start plotting out on a map, if you wanted to, where stuff has happened. And you would probably start to see patterns arise in Boykin about, okay, this area around this time of year probably shouldn't go in there because something might be going on. You're going to get chased out. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. So those were the instances that I had in Boykin Springs. I was talking with of course, I told you over TikTok live stream, I was talking with a buddy of mine who's a law enforcement officer.
Sure.
And he had a run in on dashcam in a place not too far from Boykin Springs, off of County Road, Highway 96, that follows right close to the Sam Rayburn Lake.
Gotcha. It looks like on the east side of it. Yeah.
He said that he was coming southbound on 96 and had one step out across the road.
Wow.
I'm trying to find the location right now.
If I remember our conversation, he was trying to get access to that footage, right?
They're still working on it. Someone in his office is giving him some pushback right now.
That's terrible.
Which does not surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me.
It's like, what's the problem? Just give out the video. If there's nothing on the video, it's not a big deal, right? Just give it out.
It's public access.
It's public access.
It's public access.
Yeah, make a FOIA, you know, like it's, yeah, that's terrible, dude.
So he said his instance happened right outside Pineland.
Okay.
On County Road 96 before it curves off towards the trailhead number 3 west, the trail between the lakes.
Oh yeah, which is when you're on 96, it looks like in that area, you are in Sabine National, is it that in Sabine National Forest?
I think it's Sabine or it's Angelina National Forest. I could not tell you off the top of my head.
Wow.
But yeah, that area is very poppin'. Because of course we're not that far from Toledo Bend and that area. of Louisiana.
Gotcha. It's pretty wild as well. I mean, I've heard stuff about this area for years. I wasn't smart enough to put it all on a map, which is what I'm doing now, and start to see patterns. If anyone's listening that does this too, you need to document it on a map, stuff you hear, so that you can see patterns and all that, unless your memory is incredible, which mine, I need to see it plotted out. Wow, this is absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah.
My goodness, Ryan, you're in the right place at the right time, and you're taking the time to actually talk to people. And it's really, really cool. I wish more people across the U.S. were doing what you are. It would probably get us to disclosure quicker.
Oh yeah.
But man, I want to make sure that you were able to share everything that you had come on the show to share about what you've experienced down there and what you're hearing.
Oh yeah. I've been able to give my piece of everything. I just have one additional story to tell.
All right.
This is coming from a corrections officer that I know personally outside of Huntsville. He works for TDC. He works for the TDC, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and he's part of one of the units down there. And he had one walk out across him on Highway 19 headed towards Trinity.
Oh wow! Just in the middle of the day.
No, sir. He was doing a evening transport.
Okay.
And he was coming from Trinity into Huntsville after picking up the transportee from Trinity County. And he said, I was coming down the road. He's like, I saw something in the road, so I came to a slow pace. He's like, damn near a stop. And then as soon as I slowed down, that's when this creature went from a crouching position to a standing position and cleared the road in 1.5 steps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this is one of those discussions where it's crazy because it's not the Pacific Northwest, but it's like there's so much activity in this one area when you look at the big view, and man, it's just you're gonna keep hearing some cool stuff down there, and I'm glad that you're keeping track of it. And if people that are listening to this have also had stuff happen in Boykin Springs or the area, I'd love to hear about it. You can reach out. It's BigfootSociety@gmail.com. Also, are there ways that people can reach out to you, Ryan, or are we kind of keeping in the shadows and dealing with people locally for this?
If anyone in the local area has any information on any sightings that you may have had or anything else, and y'all don't feel comfortable reaching out to Jeremiah, you can reach out to me. I can give you a email to send that information over to.
Sure. Gotcha.
So that email is going to be lonetexan658@gmail.com. That's one of the emails that I take reports on, get stories, and hopefully here soon I'll start plotting all this stuff down, and I'll get with Jeremiah again and we can compare notes.
I would love that. This is one of those deals where, I'm starting to have people in different parts of the country that are there in person and pretty much boots on the ground. So we'll definitely keep in touch, Ryan. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. Every encounter we share reminds us that the world is bigger and stranger than we think, and that the truth is often hiding just beyond the tree line. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode, and share this with a friend who's into mysteries, monsters, or the unexplained. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please follow the show there and leave us a 5-star positive review, because all that helps more people discover the show. And remember, if you or someone you know has had a Bigfoot sighting, please, I'd love to hear from you. So email me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com and let's start the conversation. If you haven't gotten a chance yet, check out our membership community over at www.bigfootsocietypodcast.com. And that's where you can hear tomorrow's episode today, early and ad-free, and members-only episodes every week. Also, it's a place to connect with other people that are into the Bigfoot subject as much as you are. Thanks again for following along with the Bigfoot Society. Until next time, keep your eyes open, trust your gut, and never stop asking what else might be out there. And see you in the woods.